Cinema Worms.
Discussing everything from Grima Wormtongue to the Shy Halib.
I'm Sabib,
And I'm Linz.
and this is Cinema Worms Podcast.
So I'm pretty excited to talk today about Dead of Winter, a film that I had seen a trailer for precisely once and thought, well, Emma Thompson, that's pretty neat. Why haven't I heard anything about this? And you had not seen just anything. You hadn't seen a trailer, you hadn't seen publicity.
Hadn't heard of it.
Hadn't heard of it at all. I don't know what the publicity team were doing. They were presumably all out having margaritas. So this is a Fargo-esque action thriller directed by Brian Kirk, who also directed episodes of Game of Thrones and The Tudors, as well as, I don't know if you remember this, the 2019 Chadwick Boseman film 21 Bridges.
I remember hearing about that film.
Which we should see actually, because
Yeah.
he had a small but incredible filmography. So the screenplay was co-written by Nicholas Jacobson Larson and Dalton Leib. Now, Dalton Leib has done a few things. He's a two-time Emmy winner and two-time WGA award winner. And he wrote things like Rebel in the Rye and One Day Like Rain in 2007 and like Feeding Mr. Baldwin in 2013. Now, Nicholas Jacobson Larson is a slightly more interesting character according to the wiki and his IMDb. Of course, he has, he has written films and he has worked on things. He is most well known, it seems to be, as a composer, conductor, and kind of orchestrating music for feature films. He is Michael Bublé's musical director, arranger, and conductor, which is not a thing that I thought I was ever going to see from this kind of Fargo-esque, like, violent film. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I like that you're branching out. He is a man who clearly does a lot of different things. Now, when I first saw this trailer, I immediately went home to book us both in without even checking with you. And I was surprised at how unpublicized it was, because it has a decent cast. It has a really cool premise. I would have thought this was pretty much a slam dunk, but, I don't know. So Emma Thompson stars as Barb, a woman on a mission to scatter her husband's ashes in Lake Hilda in northern Minnesota. She's doing a wonderful accent, by the way. It's super cute.
Yes.
On the way there, she stops at a remote cabin to ask directions. There's a bit of a blizzard, and she's not quite sure where she's going. And she notices a smear of fresh, bright blood on the snow. But the cabin's owner, played by Mark Menchaca, who you have informed me reliably is married to Lena Headey.
Yes, he is.
I don't know who's married to anybody, but I am interested in the goings-on of Lena Headey's life.
Yes.
So Mark Menchaca's character attributes this blood to recently shooting a deer, but he seems a bit sus. Now, Menchaca is often cast as this scary killer in films like 2020's Alone and 2021's No One Gets Out Alive, and here he does kind of start off in a similar way. So, now armed with directions, and not currently aware at this time that anything is wrong, because Barb's pretty trusting, she heads off to Lake Hilda to scatter the ashes, but mid-scattering she hears a gunshot, and she sees the same man from earlier pursuing a teen girl and threatening to shoot her. Uh-oh, maybe that blood didn't come from a deer after all. Kinda looks like a kidnapping, and a pretty violent one too. What's a nice Minnesotan lady to do? Will she wait for the authorities to arrive? Absolutely bloody not. Barb decides it's up to her to do something. She's going to wade into the unknown and rescue this kid. The kid is played by Laurel Marsden, who's actually 23, who you may have seen in the 2023 films The Pope's Exorcist or All Fun and Games, which is a film that I actually want to watch because it relates to a script that I just wrote. And I will get to Judy Greer in a bit, but firstly, let's discuss the film.
Yeah.
No, because you didn't know anything about it. You went in completely blind, apart from me showing you that one trailer.
Yes.
So, what were you expecting? What did you get?
I kind of was like, I don't want to see it if I haven't heard of it. Like,
Red.
which is...
Support the indies.
But when I haven't heard of things, they often, surprise
Support
me.
Is it an indie? Support the poor conductor of Michael Bublé's. I mean, I'm sure the man's poverty-stricken. Support him.
Yeah. So, I wasn't sure if I was in the mood for this sort of icy, kind of thriller-esque it's sort of thriller adjacent. It's just like
Oh, I
slow.
think it's a thriller.
It's a thriller.
Just because
yeah.
Emma Thompson's not Tom Cruising her way around. I mean, she is doing a fair bit, to be
Yeah.
fair. For I was like, damn, girl,
Yeah.
maybe I need to get more in shape so that I can rescue people from cabins if I need to.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tense. It's like a lot about the resilience of survival in this kind of completely bleak and remote landscape. Emma Thompson is great in this role, obviously, not surprising.
Emma
She brings so
Thompson's
much
great in
depth
every role.
to this like
Yeah.
Minnesotan like just what would you call it? Sort of like homely of salt of the earth lady.
Yeah, she's just a regular lady.
Just a regular lady, and she's kind of
doing a
funny.
thing. Those are the most frightening, though.
Yeah, she's just got this resiliency in her, and not so much is like filled out about her life, other than she's recently lost her spouse. But the kind of the depth of her relationship with her husband, and how that traces through the film, and how she just wants to honor his memory by scattering his ashes, but then also wants to save this girl. She's kind of funny. She's folksy.
Folksy
she's
is
gritty.
a great word. Yes,
That was the word I was looking
yeah.
for.
She is folksy, but yeah, as you say, there's a real steel core inside this woman. She might be like, she's sort of like a velvet glove, but the hand inside is made of just pure iron.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great
Yeah.
metaphor. Well done. Yeah, so
Thanks. It's a bit of a cliche.
she's an unexpected hero. She's the folksy Liam Neeson of Taken.
Nah, she's. I mean, I love an underdog in this kind of survival thriller.
an older woman.
Yeah, and an older woman who we rarely get to see do something like this.
Yeah, and she's not some like weird superhero who like can do everything. She's just knows this land, and she can survive, and she's determined. Judy Greer, I think, was
Yes.
and,
Oh my
and
God.
Max
Mencheka.
Mark, not Max. Mark Mencheka. They're both
I can't
great.
believe you got Lena Headey's husband wrong when you were the one who told me that they were married.
I'm sorry, Lena. Judy Greer is really wow.
Okay.
What a turn.
Let me just for a second just go on a wild fangirl rant about Judy Greer, right? So I remember first seeing Judy Greer in What Women Want, the Mel Gibson film, way back in the day.
Oh yes, the rom-com best friend.
Now, Judy Greer's character here is just as desperate as the one that she played in The Long Walk, but for very different reasons.
Shit.
Yeah.
She was the mom in The Long Walk.
Yes. Greer is picking some really interesting projects at the moment. Of course, all very disparate. She was in Stick with Owen Wilson. She plays his ex-wife. And I think, okay, this is my stand. I'm taking a stand on Judy Greer. This is my Judy Greer hill. I think it's high time that Judy Greer stopped being relegated to the sidelines and started being given her own major roles. My God, she has the acting chops. Why won't you give her something? Let Greer fly freely. We will all be the better for it.
I mean, I would argue that all these recent roles are helping.
No, I want her to be the
expand
star
further. And now the next step is star.
She's been expanding. She's been doing films for like 20, 30 years. Like, I would like to see her being given the starring role in something. Judy Greer, I will write you a movie. You deserve that.
Yeah, she really does take like center stage a lot of times, and like with a very like dour, like just evil character. She is grouchy. That's what it is.
Yeah. But then if you think about The Long Walk's character, the mother of Ray Garrity, which I described as a tremulous bag of nerves, very, very different people. I just really, I just like Judy Greer. I didn't realize how much I like Judy Greer. She's always there. She's always, she just doesn't get her stars, and I think she should.
Yeah, absolutely. A few interesting facts I looked up. The Shogun cinematographer Christopher Ross.
Oh, that's why it
shot
was so
this
beautiful.
in Finland. You still need to watch.
I know, I do.
I'm not allowed to mention it, but it's been quite a while now. It's been about a year.
When I finish my current book edits, I will watch Shogun.
Yes. And All Quiet on the Western Front was the composer is the same composer here. We still haven't seen that. We need to see that. And yeah, what did I want to mention? Emma Thompson's daughter plays the younger self in the flashbacks.
Oh, I was wondering, yeah, because she did. I was thinking,
look like
wow,
her.
they've really nailed this casting. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
a great role, great turn. I really like the flashbacks. They don't always work in a film. Sometimes they can be a bit hokey, or they can kind of distract from what's going on. I thought these ones were pretty good. What did you think?
They were good, but I guess I didn't like exactly how they were. They were well acted and not over the top and not too info dumpy, natural, sweet. But there was a way that they were intersliced into the action, and that kind of interrupted pacing for me, but I liked what she was doing, the daughter in the flashback.
Okay, so you didn't like the order of them, basically, or exactly where they came in.
Yeah, maybe
before.
it was like too much back and forth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it was interesting. It was an interesting film, tense, gritty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you probably haven't heard of it, but now you have. Listeners of Cinema Worms, go see, if you can, Dead of Winter.
So we recently saw Nosferatu as soundtracked by Radiohead. I don't know if there was an official name for this.
I think it was like Radiohead v Nosferatu or something.
Yeah.
Or X Nosferatu.
In fact, I've now forgotten what the actual album was.
Oh, it was Amnesiac and I think Kid A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So some classic Radiohead albums played over this famous German expressionist silent film from 1922. Everyone's heard of Nosferatu. What was jarring for us was we had recently seen the remake by Dave Eggers, and it was pretty much the same, except an Eggers version.
Yeah.
Very tense and slick and dark, and in his style, right? Which is like very visually sharp as compared to the classic, which is an old film, right? Like, so it's jarring to see everything kind of like just less crisp, like more strangely silent film with the heightened acting. So it was bizarre. It's like, oh, I'm watching the same movie again. I had seen this in the past, but hadn't seen it for a while, so I was glad you suggested we go.
I have problems with the Nosferatu remake. So I might have actually preferred this one.
Well, yeah, because it's actually there's something more of the like sort of grounded and authentic somehow. But yeah, so what are German expressionist films? Doing all my research through Wikipedia and such, it was basically these German films coming out in the wake of World War I in the early 20th century that, filmmaking is still new. So this is like the burgeoning era of film. And this idea that you're going to focus on inner emotions rather than just replicating reality, that you are being expressionist. You're not just focusing on realism. You're playing with the film. You're doing visual distortions and hyper-expressive performances. My understanding was that was just a feature of silent film because they're not talking. But yeah, there is a lot of hyper-expressionism that you kind of can feel like is silly, but it is the hallmark, I guess, of these silent films and how they convey things, emotions. So this was directed by F.W. Murnau. There's quite a controversy because basically they were like, they hired some people to write a screenplay based off Dracula, but then just change a few things. Ultimately, this led to the widow of Dracula suing the filmmakers and winning.
The widow of Dracula? You mean the widow of Bram Stoker?
Oh, beep. Yeah.
The widow of Dracula, the vampire. No, we have to keep that in. That's great.
Okay.
Classic
okay.
Zabby.
See the heightened spikes of volume of me just screaming at the air.
Yes. So Dracula's widow.
Yeah. So then they ordered all copies of the film destroyed.
Okay.
But clearly it sort of survived and gained this like cult following and is like one of the best films ever made in a lot of people's opinion. And it stars Max Schreck as Count Orlok. And then we have the estate agent who is basically stalked by Count Orlok, the vampire.
The prosthetics were not so good in those days.
Yeah, they were interesting. We'll get into that. So yeah, the husband and wife who are stalked by Count Orlok are played by Gustav von Wagenheim and Greta Schroeder. Max Schreck, who played Count Orlok, apparently was really weird, and that's actually one of his major roles. Like initially, he was this like very quiet guy who a lot of them had, by the way, had fought in World War I and seen a lot of combat, and he had like PTSD, and he would like wander in the woods alone, and he was just odd.
Okay.
So it made sense that he would play Count Orlok. And basically, apparently, they were inspired by this to create this film by. It may not be a true story, but that they encountered this like Serbian farmer in the winter of 1916 who told them that his father was a vampire and one of the undead.
Oh.
And that it was Grau, who I think is one of the filmmakers. Now I've forgotten who he is. He was interested in the cult. So a lot of the occult and like the mystical sort of like undertones throughout the film are inspired by their interest in all of this. I'll go from there. Why don't you tell me your thoughts on seeing Nosferatu for the first time?
So I've seen obviously bits of it before, but I don't think I've seen the whole thing. But it was really, as you say, disconcerting to watch, having seen the remake earlier this year, which I did not really care for various reasons. It was also kind of, as you said, I think when we came out of the film, it was a little discordant for the first couple of minutes of settling into some of the more odd Radiohead albums. Like, it's just a bit sort of twinkly and discordant and contemporary sounding over this very old film. It's a bit of a sort of shock to see both those things coming together. Once you kind of settle into it, it works really well. They've aligned it really nicely, so that you kind of get scenes changing along with the songs. There's a particular scene where when he's on his way to see Orlok, the main character, he stops in a tavern and one song just sort of ends and then another just starts as the kind of innkeeper like sort of puts like a drink down on his table, and the villagers start reacting to him declaring that he's on his way to Orlok's castle. So I thought that was really nicely done. It was very carefully done, very interesting. These are not my favorite Radiohead albums by quite a long shot. I'm kind of wondering how it would have been if they had chosen another Radiohead album. Like, I was thinking maybe kind of Hail to the Thief, because if you're playing something like, 2 + 2 is 5, and I think Mixed Mitosis is on that album as well, maybe. That would have been really interesting, but there would have been more of a rock vibe to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really interesting. It was interesting to watch. I know they're doing another screening of another film it's like a Buster Keaton one with REM, and I'm desperate to go and see that because I think that's going to be really interesting. But this kind of like this trend of putting contemporary music over silent films, it doesn't always work. I do think it worked here, but it did take me a little bit to get to grips with it, and then once I was in it, I was in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like jumping into the water when it's pretty cold, and at first it's a shock and you kind of want to get out, but then you sort of acclimatize.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's interesting about Nosferatu is that it's like the template for like horror films throughout the 20th and then 21st century. So a lot of it will seem like, oh wait, this is very familiar because it is one of the first horror films, and there are classic shots that you'll know of the Count Orlok cast in shadow, with his hands up going up the stairs. That, think about how innovative that was at the time. And this feels like a really huge film, like how much work it must have been to shoot this with the technology they had of the day, things on ships, things across landscapes, just the use of like light and color and special effects. So really innovative. And their themes of like the violence and mass death of World War One, and of the occult, like I was saying. And there's just a nice quote on the wiki where they talk about the mysticism and magic, the dark forces to which the Germans have always been more than willing to commit themselves, had flourished in the face of death on the battlefields. And the producer Grau saying that he linked war and vampires, this monstrous event that is unleashed across the earth like a cosmic vampire to drink the blood of millions and millions of men.
And they do say that, like when the ship is making its way across, you see there's little like kind of silent captions that are saying, oh, and hundreds of young men are dying in these ports and we're a bit worried it's a plague and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh damn, hundreds, he's hungry, he's a hungry boy.
So absolutely. And like, just a side note, like obviously you want to think about, does Count Orlok kind of come off anti-Semitic? Obviously a lot of people ask that. I'm sure. And just from my reading, like yes and no. Like I think there's a lot of unconscious sort of beliefs they had at the time of the other, and that they would look like this or that, and how Dracula is depicted in the book. And it may not have been intentional, but that sort of it comes through a bit, just in maybe the idea of vampires, of what's the thing in Harry Potter, the money people.
Oh, the goblins.
The goblins,
the
right?
Gringotts, which are also, they're like hook nose. It's a very kind of stereotypical, horrible thing.
So something people need to be aware of.
But then I kind of also attribute that to, of course, that's just another part of kind of propaganda. But if you consider that this is kind of a war or thing or something reacting to, the post-war. So firstly, what I was saying about the hundreds of young men dying, I was thinking, because we think of vampires contemporary as being like, oh, they'll have one or two victims per night or whatever. This guy is just sucking all the way through his port.
It's relentless terror.
So that is kind of a nice like link back to the war. It's like it's a relentless thing. It's taking lots of young men, and then with this kind of propaganda, you don't want people to think that the enemy is anything like them. You want to completely remove sympathy. So exactly as you were saying, the other people. And of course, that was the propaganda. We were othering the Germans during the war. They were othering us to try and make sure that it's like, these people are monsters. They're nothing like you, because then it becomes really hard to kill them. And so again, if you are using like these kind of stereotypical hallmarks of something, then it becomes easier to like label, well, Count Orlok as a monster. Look at his behavior. Look at how he looks. He physically represents his ugliness in his soul, and that's why. Again, we think of contemporary vampires as being super sexy and good looking, because that's kind of the mystique draws us in. A lot of our modern day vampires that we think of and we see in films and portrayed in media are not ugly, are not monstrous. Obviously, Eggers went back to that, but there is something still really powerful and seductive about his Nosferatu as well. There's something like, I would say seductive rather than sexy, but there is something like really kind of alluring about him.
Yes,
he has like
eerie.
a very kind of masculine, kind of seductive energy. He has the riz.
Yeah, like as much as he looks ridiculous, he also is like very unnerving, and
you can see why people are drawn to him. So I think it's
the
really
uncanny.
Yeah,
it's the uncanny.
I think it's interesting that we see like the differences between how the role and the portrayal of vampires have changed from, looking at that to something like Buffy, where they were all kind of skinny and six-packed and hot.
Ridiculous.
It's very different. But yeah, if you have a chance to go and see Nosferatu V or X Radiohead, or any of the silent screenings, they're definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience.